I can't tell if WWE is just good now or if wrestling is so good when you don't have a bitch in your ear telling you that it's nasty. I don't know what to do with Wrestlemania 40 because I think that it might be the best wrestling show ever, but not only has WWE not been good in 20 years, Wrestlemania has never been good. Wrestlemania has always been an event that, on paper, is the big show that finishes off the biggest stories, and there are a handful of those over the years, but mostly Wrestlemania is a tire fire where good booking goes to die, and it's replaced by obscene pandering to an audience that wants to see celebrities and spectacle. For every super sick WrestleMania moment you could name, there's about 50 dog trash ones, but that just comes with the game. You watch, it's a big accessible mess, you drink, you have a good time. Nerds get to nitpick because it's not a good wrestling show, and regular people get to cheer because, yo, The Undertaker. But WrestleMania 40, I'm kind of in awe of it. I don't think that anything on it is bad. There's no bad segments, there's no bad matches, there's something for everybody, and it's booked to perfection. Even if you don't subscribe to it being the best wrestling in-ring graps show ever, I feel like if you are at all invested in what makes wrestling tick, I can't see how the show isn't satisfying down to its marrow. Now, I know there are a lot of people who aren't, and who have a vision of what wrestling is that they won't deviate from, but I'm going to try to keep my complaint about people not liking the show to a minimum. Instead, I want to say what I liked about the show and what it is that made it perfect. Before anything, let's talk about that word I used, booking. For a lot of people in wrestling, booking is one of those terms that people just kind of skim over as a colloquialism. Early on in AEW, people would make a big deal about how they didn't have writers, they had bookers. People boil it down to like show running or matchmaking or deciding of results. But for me, booking is the essence of the show, the overarching logistical bones that make this moment relevant to a bigger picture. My go-to example for booking to perfection comes from 2018 New Japan, where there were 3 title programs happening between factions LIJ and Suzuki-gun. Naito versus Suzuki, Kanemaru and El Desperado versus Hiromu and Bushi, and Evil Sonata versus Killer Elite Squad. Now, these feuds were started at different times. Evil and Sonata had won the tag titles at Wrestle Kingdom after winning Tag League. Hiromu and Bushi were part of a 3-way feud with Suzuki-gun and Roppongi 3K for the junior titles that Suzuki-gun had won by beating 3K. And Naito started provoking Intercontinental Champion Suzuki in build-up tags before challenging him at Sakura Genesis. Because all 5 of these men were in very separate, very organic feuds with one another, it was easy to forget that they were in opposing factions, so big full faction tag matches are a no-brainer because you build up 3 matches at once. The special thing about this moment in time is that at no point in the build-up did I think, oh wow, LIJ and Suzuki-gun are having a faction feud, that's so great, I can't wait. It was just 3 individual rivalries that started and then it clicked. That's booking. It's the actual logic behind a match and what makes it matter. Now, a lot of people who view wrestling through the lens of sick matches for spreadsheets just view booking as, like, matchmaking, contending that the stories told in the ring are what's interesting. And I guess I'm happy for people who feel that way, but I guess I learned from years of watching New Japan, which is the least booked company in the world, ignore that last example, and then watching Ring of Honor, the only company that has ever booked a weekly TV show, I think, that all I care about is booking. Matches can vary in quality, but if there are moving pieces that matter and make me care about little details, even if the match is ordinary, it becomes so much better because you feel more invested. Now, for years, people have dumped on indie wrestling for being just flips and high spots, while WWE is the storytelling company, and that's what matters, and that's what draws money, brother. It's always been horseshit because no company has ever booked worse than WWE. Only WWE is kind of the booking company now. At least WrestleMania 40 was a booker's wet dream. WrestleMania 40 had 2 things going for it: a list of great matches and rivalries, and 2 days to work with. Now, 2-day shows are kind of a mixed bag. New Japan are the ones who typically run them, and they often do split shows fine, but their attempts at having a link between them with Wrestle Kingdom has never really been very good. WWE has done split shows for the last few WrestleManias, and I think they've been good, but they never attempted to utilize the format to build up anything. It was just a great way to let the nights be less jam-packed with stuff and also sell more tickets. WrestleMania 40, meanwhile, had a handful of things that connected both days in the way of direct matchmaking, but also story threads. Big obvious one is that night one was headlined by Cody and Seth versus Roman and The Rock. If Cody and Seth win, the big main event the next night will be a clean endeavor. If Roman and The Rock win, it will be a no DQ match that Cody essentially has no chance of winning. Already, I think this is great. It's a tag match that lets you preview the major main event the next night. It delivers on the month-long story with The Rock and introduces years-long stories with Seth Rollins, and indirectly, it impacts everybody. Seth has an unrelated world title match the next night, and any damage sustained by him, Cody, and Roman will all carry over, making matches have more details to play with. Now, theoretically, New Japan has attempted something similar with Wrestle Kingdom for a few years, with there being a big title match on both nights, and in most cases, a big ol' heel would be on the other side of night 2 with a big advantage having not wrestled a match, and it never mattered, but that's not the point. New Japan did try this, and it's an idea, but it never really landed because not only would the matches be samey, the night 1 result was almost always obvious because there was a clear better matchup you wanted on night 2. WrestleMania 40, there's a tag match that delivers a different story involving Seth and The Rock that has repercussions on a different style of match and story. And while the result was pretty obvious, there are little details in there that throw in bits of doubt. Why are they running a tag match with insane no DQ spots if they're going to run the same thing the next night? Why are we tormenting Cody if we are presumably going to do it the next night? Logically, you could run an insane no DQ epic and then a completely clean match the next day and be completely fine having delivered both sides of a Mania main event. Now, obviously, this is extremely meta, but I think that the other major difference between running a tag match with this stipulation at WrestleMania 40 and what was done with Wrestle Kingdom is that the result at Wrestle Kingdom going into night 2 was always more of a preference thing. Whether Ibushi or Naito win at Wrestle Kingdom 15 is immaterial. The Jay White match the next night is going to be the same thing. So whoever you want to win is whoever you like more. If you like Cody, or just want the bad guys to lose, there is a material reason to care about the tag match's results, and all of the little meta things to throw even 1% of doubt on the results are incredibly smart and well executed. Regardless of the result, the next night, Seth Rollins comes out banged up and tired, looks slow out of the gate against Drew McIntyre, but he's able to execute big finishers in a way that conveys desperation and opportunism while mostly losing. Drew McIntyre, meanwhile, is in control, but constantly gets distracted by mocking CM Punk, which lets Seth get some offense in and, again, open up the end of the match to some interpretation. Drew wins, celebrates, and then decides to mock Punk, who attacks Drew and leaves him vulnerable for Punisher Martinez to cash in Money in the Bank, delivering the karmic justice to Drew, who threw his big title win away by being a gloating Gus Mouse. Main event, after a ton of interferences, Roman has the match basically won. He holds a chair and can put Cody down, but he is so distracted by his chance to take revenge on Seth Rollins for the decade-old Shield breakup that has been canonized as core to the Roman Reigns character, that him hitting Seth allows Cody to recover enough to counter his spear and land his finisher to get the pin. It weaves in and out of so many characters, stories, and results that are significant and obvious that it rewards knowing everything, but you never need to for it to make sense. There are other booking bits that I think are just really good card placement stuff. Io Sky and Bayley had a really clean and great title match because the main event was going to be full of interferences, so you don't want to burn people out on it. There are 2 big Spot Fest tag matches that existed to have the crowd pop beyond the action. Night 1 for the Eagles players and night 2 for the Dudley homages. You separate Gunther and Sami Zayn from both world title matches because having an unrelated babyface struggles for life against insurmountable odds match might distract from them. Separating the tag titles in the most logistically sound way to ever separate titles that also pays homage to the big tag team ladder matches at WrestleMania. Also mathematically rounds out 2 titles, so 6 teams. They were just incredibly well-designed cards from top to bottom, utilizing every trick you could think of to make sure that both nights not only flowed well, but built on top of one another. The tag main event was great because it mattered for the title match, but the title match's highs were also elevating the tag match's aura. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn being present in each other's entrances on both nights made both feel incredibly personal and sick. The shows were just immaculately designed in every nook and cranny. You could have an ordinary show with great booking, and I think that show will still be very good. It's the secret trick of professional wrestling that you don't actually need to be great at the wrestling part to be a great wrestler, but while we're at it, the wrestling was great. I think that even the matches that weren't remarkable still did a lot of work at building the shows and were core to how they were so good. This is the part where I talk about every match. I've already said how I feel about the event as a whole, so there's not a bunch more insight on the grander scheme of things. So if that's what you're interested in, stick around. If not, I don't know, kick rocks. Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley was great. I found that Rhea is kind of carried by aura and a handful of good matches and performances to justify her spot at the top, but Becky being top 3 smartest women in the WWE really plays into Rhea just being cool and strong and capable. It's incredibly astounding how far the women's division has come, and these women are a major showcase of that. The ladder match was what you want out of a big ladder match. Good spots and sweet character moments. I haven't met a person who doesn't love R-Truth, but he's so great and deserves the world. One of the best role players in the league all time, for sure. The telenovela tag was a lot of fun. The one minor nitpick I'd have for card placement is putting this match after the ladder match, because to me these are generally similar ideas of matches, at least execution-wise. They're big spot matches to invigorate the live crowd. They did a great job regardless. I like the Eagles run-in for the crowd. That Andrade Rey crossbody spot is so insane and reminded me that Rey Mysterio is just the best wrestler ever. I can't believe I thought it was anyone else. The Uso Bowl is the match that most people point to as being the bad match, which I get it, but I personally thought it was good. I think that functionally the match was smart in that neither of the Usos are especially good singles wrestlers, so a relatively short back and forth is what you want to do, but story-wise, I thought that this match conveyed its beats really well. The two do their signature moves to one another in a pseudo-dick measuring contest. Jimmy falters and begs for Jay's forgiveness because he can't win fairly. He tries to sucker Jay, but Jay, who's shown to be better by virtue of being brave enough to stand on his own, overcomes it and wins. The complaints I've seen have been very weird, wanting this match that you didn't like and thought was boring to be longer and filled with more things and not be final. Like, people wanted Rikishi to show up, or there to be some stipulation, or for it to be some bloody brawl that Jimmy Uso wins or something like that, while also saying it was kind of boring and these guys aren't very good. It's a really weird complaint to me, but I guess I get it. You want to add pieces to distract from the part that you don't like. I guess my framing of it as a battle of pride was significantly aiding me, so the super kick exchanges mattered to me because it felt like two brothers trying to outshine each other instead of just ringing as boring. I get why people don't like it. I thought it was a good but kind of unexciting match that, on a practical level, was as good and inoffensive as it could be given the circumstances. The 6-woman tag was so interesting on like a meta level. Theoretically, this is the world's most obvious Jade Cargill showcase. Chuck her in the ring with at least 2 all-time workers and 2 at bare minimum good ones, and just let her do a few big spots and make the building pregnant. In practice, Jade Cargill is cool, but at the end of the day, she is still a lady who is standing beside Bianca Belair. I never talked about WWE, so even people who know me don't really know how I feel about her, but let me put this on the record. Bianca Belair is one of the best wrestlers alive, and the fact that she isn't just great, but she's been great with such a short time in the ring is mind-boggling. I might make some kind of supplementary video in the future talking about this idea. Just know that Bianca Belair blows me away. Jade Cargill is such an impressive figure that is a no-brainer to be the movie poster girl in the middle of the Charlie's Angel pose, but the aura of Bianca just refuses to be denied. I know that Gunther and Sami Zayn got a bit of flack in the build-up for Sami being picked over Chad Gable. I don't have any opinions because not only was I not watching, I am fundamentally opposed to the concept of Chad Gable, so I don't think I can give any take that isn't coated in bias. But I think that even the coldest cynic had to melt away from seeing Sami's entrance. The match itself is, I think, a really good version of a match type that I don't really like in heel kills babyface, but babyface perseveres and wins. But that might just be the strength of how good Gunther is at being the hammer and how good Sami is at being the nail. This was dramatic and cathartic and emotional and so fun to watch. The Big Night 1 main event tag match might honestly be the best match I've ever seen, but I don't know why. Everything about it is so engaging. It had a beginning that was completely stock, then broke down to a ridiculous walk and brawl display, then it shifted to being, again, a regular match where the heels isolate the babyface, babyfaces get the hot tag, and then it just becomes an insanely good plunder match. I think the weird meta addition of The Rock being an authority figure that is theoretically very bad also made the match so much more compelling. Telling the ref that if he counted them out, then he was fired, which opened up the door to this ridiculous shit show in the most endearing way possible. It was such a no-rules brawl that I started questioning what was a very obvious outcome, because if I was running WWE, I would have played this match very straight, there's some trickery, and the Bloodline win, and then night 2, I run the exact match beat for beat that they did on night 1. Literally, I would do every single spot they did in the tag match in the singles match. So I was wondering why they'd do it here if the Bloodline would win. Then, because I was so crazily booking pilled, I just went into the rabbit hole. Story-wise, yes, it makes infinite sense to have The Rock pin Cody. Cody's been getting cheated by The Rock for months, you want to put Cody at the bottom, you run that, and then Cody wins night 2, and you can justify a Cody Rock match for free. But then the match played out the way that it did, and when The Rock started using the strap, I just envisioned a scenario in my head where Cody gets the strap, gets back at The Rock, but is DQ'd to put him in a position where he's still screwed, but nobody eats a pin, and Cody gets some catharsis, but is screwed over by The Rock being a corporate villain. I resolved that this would be the literal perfect booking, but that wrestling literally is not ready for that. I genuinely don't know what to tell people who don't love this match. It's the perfect match. It's wrestled really well, the characters are distinct and interesting and interact with each other differently. Everyone has lore with each other to call upon. The execution is good. There are entire acts of the match with 6 spot after 6 spot. It's perfectly booked. The results and the way it's wrestled matter in conjunction with the next night. People said it's predictable and had a boring beginning. I'm sorry, but you genuinely just do not get wrestling. To me, this is the platonic ideal of what a big wrestling match should be. Night 2 starts with Rollins-McIntyre, and WWE big matches traditionally have a lot of spamming finishers and kickouts, and you can Logic Man your way into making them make sense, but in my opinion, it's a very lazy way to run a match. Rollins-McIntyre get it done by introducing elements talked about before. Rollins being banged up gives him a sheen of desperation, which is emphasized by Drew landing the Claymore in the first second of the match. However, Drew keeps doing shit with CM Punk on commentary, and it lets Seth get back into the match repeatedly. Seth landing finishers feels like attempts at a Hail Mary to steal one, rather than we're doing finishers because they are cool, identifiable moves, so cheer please. Drew wins, match is great, the post-match stuff is also great. These are wonderfully booked matches. It sets up like 6 things after WrestleMania. It's what you want out of wrestling. The Bobby Lashley 6-man was a very basic Spot Fest live match that gets the crowd hyped up, and it succeeded. Good for them. I don't much like LA Knight. I think I just don't like old people when they haven't proven anything and people talk about them like they aren't old. Like, people talk about LA Knight building momentum and how he could be a new guy for WWE to build around, like he's not 45. That said, this match was solid, mostly because LA Knight is, like, serviceable, and AJ Styles is still incredible. Maybe not the man he used to be, but he was so much better than everybody for 2 decades, I'd expect him to slow down at some point. The US triple threat was so good. I have 2 major takeaways from it. I love that the match started exactly how these 2 face, 1 heel triple threats should go, where the heel leaves the ring and the faces just agree to go after him instead of fight each other because they're there together. I loved how that dynamic broke down once they both went for a cover, as if they realized right then that only one person could win. That dynamic is day 1 stuff in theory, but I still think wrestling doesn't ever do it well. Second takeaway is the easy one. Logan Paul is just good. He's not good for a celebrity, he's not good for a YouTuber, he's just good. You can tell when a match is built around someone's flaws and people are carried. This was not that. This was a match that felt completely normal for all of the people involved. Bayley and Io Sky put on a phenomenal match. I love Bayley. She's one of my faves. Shout out the Bayley Defense Squad. If you know, you know. I kind of forget that she's good in the ring. Maybe it's because she doesn't do anything special and she doesn't really have that aura. Maybe it's because she's the only member of the 4 Horsewomen to have a serious flop era. Maybe it's because she's older and banged up and has been a heel for 6 years so she can hide behind shtick. But I just forgot she's a seriously smart wrestler with a really keen attention to detail that has gone back to her NXT days. Also, I never saw a ton of Io. The stuff of hers in Stardom I saw was a little underwhelming, but it was minimal. And the stuff in NXT I wasn't super impressed by, but she's incredibly good. These 2 had a perfect match, all things considered. Tight timing, convincing near falls, slick reversals, great selling, great punishing. There's not much more to say. It was so much better than I was kind of dreading it would be. I was prepared to break out the Bayley Defense Squad banner from 2016-2017, but our girl brought the title home. Cody Roman was everything it kind of needed to be. Well worked, emotional, swings of momentum, neither man looked outgunned. It was a tremendous match that I think suffers 1% from the Night 1 tag match being so compelling, but I think that might have just been me. The right guy won, his celebration was incredible, everyone looked good. Roman hitting Seth with the chair, which let Cody reverse the spear, is cinema. The only complaint, I guess, is that it wasn't terribly unique, but I think that's just kind of the risk you run when you run a story for like 2 years. It's hard to deliver on hype when you've been living in it the entire time and it ends the way that it should. That's just me projecting how people might feel. I haven't been watching this bullshit, so I thought it was fantastic. I hated Cody Rhodes to my core, and I have all but confirmed that Cody has gotten my videos taken down in the past. It's still up when I see him, but that brother went back to the rich school and finished the story. The worst thing about Wrestlemania 40, though, is that it was so good that I guess I'm going to try being a WWE enjoyer. If this garbage is actually good, then Brother Bear, you will never hear the end of it from me. Thanks for watching.